it's time for our next case study. Having started her career as a management trainee in supply chain 9 years ago, Jovana Cupic has climbed up the career ladder at Coca-Cola Hellenic to become an HR business partner. Her role is to support business objectives through building partnerships with the commercial part of Coca-Cola Hellenic organization. Described as a creative engineer, in this case study, Jovana will tell us more about what it takes for the HR to sit at the strategic table, how a strategic workforce planning process is done, and what is HR's role within it. Jovana, welcome.
Hi, Milica. Thank you very much for a very nice introduction, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Just a bit more introduction about me for the audience to understand my background, because the process I'm going to talk about today I experienced not only from the HR perspective but also from the business perspective as someone who was in a position to manage people directly. So I can say that I clearly understand the both sides of the story. So I suggest we have a short chat on the topic of strategic workforce planning, and let's start demystifying it as soon as possible. So before I say what this process actually is, I need to explain also what it is not, since there are sometimes misinterpretations or maybe some unrealistic expectations when it comes to the process itself. So in the beginning, I must say that it's definitely not an HR magic wand, even though it consists out of a very powerful set of tools. The full magic is actually in the hands of the business leaders, and they're the ones who need to put this extremely high on their agenda and to deal with the people objectives. It is also not a universal tool or scientific formula. Each organization needs to actually realize what kind of tools are the most appropriate for their specific needs, and this set of tools is developed together with the business leaders. So HR is not the one who is only participating in this definition of the tools. Also, one of the bias is that this might be a project or a one-off event or a workshop, but it's not. Even though it consists out of a series of interactions with the business leaders, it is not a project, but it is something which is based on facts and many analyses and figures and data. Then, what actually it is? It is a set of tools that supports business strategy. It relies much on market trends and data, and it is very useful guideline for planning your future workforce needs. As I already said, it consists out of many data and analytics. So it's a very useful systematic and organizational analysis that can help you and your leaders to solid decision making in the futures, rather than just assumptions. We're always striving to have it as something which is fact based. Why do we need a strategic workforce planning, or do we need it at all? And what is the overall purpose? Well, in my opinion, yes, and my experience also definitely yes, because it is something that supports business strategy in terms of organization's key resource, and that's people. It also provides very good structural approach because it's very systematic and detailed, and it's fully integrated into an organization. Sometimes it's really necessary to be proactive and to think ahead, and to be able to address some upcoming challenges much in advance. So as such, this tool can affect our long-term needs from 3 to 5 years. And as already stated, it is very useful to support our leaders in making sound judgment when it comes to our people. Okay, so let's see how the process itself look like. Well, I already explained that it's not a universal tool. How it is going to look like depends much on you, your business needs, and your business leader's capability. Also, organizational maturity and size and overall business complexity can also affect the structure of the process overall. But in general, we can explain this process as following. It consists out of four key steps, and the first step would be the strategy alignment. It's extremely important to understand the business strategy. What is that we're striving to, and what is our business agenda? As long as we understand the strategic priorities and how the challenges or the limitations will affect our workforce, we will be able to understand what we as an HR need to do. Also, the outcome of the first step needs to be the identification of the opportunities and strengths in achieving our strategic priorities. Then we go to the organization assessment. In this phase, we need to have a really clear and common understanding of the strengths and weaknesses, as well as threats and opportunities. And in this phase, we also do the role segmentations, because not all the roles are the same, and not all the roles have the same impact on the business strategy. In this phase, we also can identify many opportunities for optimizations, such as improving span of control, redeploying, or outsourcing, or maybe even returning some processes in-house. And usually the outcome of this step is something that we use as a good base for future headcount planning. And then we go to the next step, which is critical capability summary, or the assessment of our current organizational capabilities, of course, having in mind the outcome of the first two steps, the organizational structure and the changes that we spotted there, and also what are the future organizational changes that are going to happen in the near future. Then we have to see what are the key capabilities that we're lacking, considering the business changes that will happen soon, and what are the ones that are criticals, meaning both, not only functional but also leadership, and not only technical but also some soft skills which can make a difference in execution of our business strategy. And then we go to the last step, which is pipeline assessment, in which we need to understand what is the condition of our current pipeline, and are there any critical or layers or positions that we need to focus on in the future, how we're going to address it, how we're going to fill in the pipeline. Are we going to do this from internal, or we're going to have to into the talent acquisition process in case we will not be able to fulfill all the gaps from the inside. Okay, and the question is, now what? Now that we have identified the challenges, we have to understand how we can respond to these challenges, and the next step would be to develop a workforce plan for each of them. And again, this can be different depending on the organization specific needs, but I will share with you some of the ideas that we're using in our organization during the strategic workforce planning process. If we talk about organizational structure, there might be different alternatives to reassess and reevaluate it, and to find the proper activities which will address the key challenges that we spotted in the first step. So if we talk about redeployment, we can always resize our organization, meaning in downsizing or right sizing or upsizing we can reorganize. We can sometimes we can merge or split departments. We can introduce completely new departments depending on the business needs, especially, for example, in our case, when introducing some new categories or starting to play in some unfamiliar channels, sales channels. So in this case, we're usually introducing some new roles. We are creating process streamlines, and we are especially when we talk about some specific capabilities that we were not able to have a build from the inside, we're then in the situation when we have to recruit the profiles from the outside. As already mentioned, outsourcing is also one of the activities which can be the response to the challenge when we talk about organizational structure. Regarding capabilities, the first thing to know here is that we need to evaluate the current capabilities. And how do we do that? There are several standard methods that we're using, meaning evaluating capabilities through acceleration or development centers for specific leadership layers. We're also using 360 feedback as a very useful tool for spotting the capability gaps, and also some other people management and development assessment tools. And then when we realize what are the gaps, then we're of course first trying to build it from internal by developing special capability development programs for specific population, for specific leadership layers, or maybe specific individuals. But also we're using some traditional methods such as coaching, mentoring, training, projects, and other kinds of on-the-job experiences that we believe can help in this area. The alternative to internal capability building is always to buy something from external, which is also a good way. Sometimes you just need fresh eyes. So we are not here talking only about the capability that is not already existing in the organization. Also, one of the activities that we can put in our strategic workforce plan can be related to compensation packages, because there are some people with specific capability, knowledge, experiences, and skills that we want to protect, and that's why we create the specific incentive plans and benefits packages for these categories. If we talk about pipeline, of course, one of the options is to feed our pipeline from the outside, from other organizations. But again, here is also one of the preferable options for each organization is always to try first to build this from the inside, from the existing resources. And with this, we can also plan some development assignments for specific roles or employees. Sometimes we need to think about also managing out, which is not that popular, but unfortunately necessary. Sometimes it's necessary to do this kind of activity as well, in order to refresh your organization and to free up the space for the new talents, which will help organization grow further. And also the introduction of the new roles can be one of the activities to feed our workforce plan. Okay, I said too many things now, and I think you can get a picture of how the whole process look like and how complex it can get in the end. And if you're really willing to take this journey together with your leaders, it's extremely important to make sure that they have the clear understanding and the buy-in of the whole strategic workforce planning process behind. So my advice to you would be to start educating them as soon as possible, because as we all know, the strategy is the one who is telling us where we want to go, but the culture is the one who tells us who we want to become. And if you don't feed your culture properly, it can easily eat your strategy for breakfast, which we all faced at some point in our careers. So it's really important for you to work closely and to cooperate with your business leaders, because this is the joint process in which we are working together to have our strategy executed exactly in a way that we wanted, equipped with right people and capabilities. If the question is this process applicable to any organization, regardless of its size and structure? Well, I must say that yes, it is. Of course, that depending on the organization specifics, the methodology can be different and must be different, but the overall principle and the logic is the same. In this process, not only that we're using some basic project management principles, we're also using very much common sense, and we're relying on it. So it's important to understand the steps, the needs, and how you're going to get where you want to get. In terms of responsibilities, there is always a mix of responsibilities between HR role and also business leaders and other business participants. So this is a joint process for all of us. Okay, before I close, I would like to share with you some hopefully useful tips in case you decide to go into strategic workforce planning process in your organization. Of course, try as much as possible to understand your business strategy, because this way, as a knowledgeable person, you will be able to build relevance and trust with your business partners. And you must not forget that this process is something which is driven by HR, but actually it's owned by the business. So they're the ones who have the full responsibility and ownership. And of course, you're here to support them with your best knowledge and experience. Another good point, I think, is that workforce plan needs to be a story, and you need to tell a story. So your story should be based on business priorities and the current workforce capacities, and you should always, of course, use and rely on analytics and data rather than just pure assumptions. So try to make sure that you're equipped with analytics and data, and this will help you very much to build your story as well. Don't forget to educate your business leaders, because sometimes they tend to go the way which is easier, and they're sometimes picking easier rather than healthy solutions when it comes to people management. As a partner to a business, you have to have a wide perspective. So please make sure that you always have not only internal but also external perspective. This way, you will be able to be very proactive, and if you know what's happening outside of your organization, this will most probably inspire not only you but also your business co-workers, and will help you be more creative. You're the one who should come to business leaders with creative ideas and new solutions, rather than to come in front of them only with the questions. And of course, I must say in the end that even though this process might be very challenging and demanding for someone who is supporting business, it also brings a lot of learnings and enjoyment, I would say, because you're the one who is able to see organization from different perspectives and to directly influence some really important strategic decisions, and to see your direct impact on the business overall. So I suggest all of you to enjoy this as much as possible, because the feeling is really amazing. Okay, shortly, that would be it. So I would like to thank you a lot again for having me today.